Ask a businessman if they've got a problem and they'll always come out with a short list of half a dozen standard issues. One at the top of the list inevitably will be how to sell more product. Business people all over the world are grappling with that particular problem, even now as we speak. And what they're doing is they're withdrawing the patterns they've got that allow them to interpret that problem and make a decision. Standard classroom examples will come out of strategies that you can put in place. Lower price, you can maybe make it look sleeker, you can do something with the packaging, make it more attractive, go through different distribution channels in order to access the market. But if you want to look at it differently, if you want to break the patterns and help yourself harness the energies of creativity that sit within the individuals, you have to challenge those patterns. Let us consider the problem from a different perspective. The problem we have is how to increase our product sales. Let's consider putting something next to the brain that will challenge the way we interpret that data. The solution we want to put in place is going to be stimulated by an object, and the object we're going to use is this disused World War II building. The solution to our problem, how are we going to increase sales, has as a metaphor the solution, this ramshackle building that we see before us, and we have to consider the various aspects of this building and help us understand how it can give us an insight into how to increase sales. So let us look at the various facets of this particular building. There's a certain charm, a certain elegance, for example, to the manner in which it's dilapidated over time. It makes it attractive, makes it invoke a certain emotional response in whoever's looking at the building itself. It's in some bizarre way idyllic, despite the nature from which it has evolved. What we have to do is to look at that and understand how that might relate to the product. The product typically may be packaged in bright, shiny packaging. Maybe what we need to consider is something a little bit more rustic in the way we approach it, something a little more basic that will invoke an emotional response that is somewhat different, that will set the product aside so that when it sits on the shelves, the consumer will instantly grab for that. This apple tree is an interesting feature as well, completely unrelated to the building itself. But interesting to see how when you bundle the two together, complete with the dripping tap and the water sink that's sat in front, the bundle of elements that one's looking at, that one is trying to assimilate and pull together, has a distinct charm all of its own. And maybe it's possible to look at the product that you're trying to increase the sales of and find a way of bundling up an interesting combination of products to broaden out the offering that you're trying to attract the consumer with, that ultimately will make it stand out from the crowd and make it that bit more attractive. Who knows, if you get the combination right, if you get the fruit, if you get the water, you get the dilapidated building together, you may even be able to charge a higher price for the product as a consequence of the changes that you put in place. Let's take this model a little bit further and look at what we can do by stepping inside the building to get a further insight on how to increase product sales. Look at the building itself, look at the manner in which it's divided into different elements and the nature of the individual components of the building as a whole. One can't help oneself, one is drawn into the building, one wants to go and have a look around the building and explore and look around what's around this particular corner, what's through that window there. Let's go and have a look. What we're trying to do is to find a way in which we can take that enticement that we're generating in what is clearly a ramshackle building and find a way in which you can embed those elements within the solution to product sales. What this is telling me is more about the experience of handling the product itself. You want to dig in, you want to delve into the product in more detail to understand more about the way it operates. There's an element of enticement that pulls you in, that is consistent with the overall packaging, that allows you to ensnare the consumer, to tease them into the product, to desperately want to tell more, to buy more, and to tell people about what they've just bought.